Welcome back to B&B Banter Bros Goes to the Movies. I am Timothy Bennett, and thank you for joining me tonight. Tonight is just me. I'm just going to be talking. No, I'm just kidding. Aram's with me. Anybody who's going to watch the video.
It's like, fuck it, I'll go home.
No, Aram Banyan's with me tonight, and we're gonna be talking about episode 8 of Only Murders in the Building, season 2. And oh boy, I got excited.
What a good one!
It was so good. Like they just keep getting better.
Yeah.
But yeah, how are you tonight?
I'm all right. Got my surgery tomorrow morning, so
You'll be 9 toes.
I'll be a toe lighter.
Yeah. It's your big toe?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Jelly.
I'm pretty sure you had a pretty good sized fucking big toe too, so it's gonna be noticeable.
Very true. My feet are not, despite my size, my feet are not small.
Yeah, no. I think you got bigger feet than I do, so.
We're at 10 and a half.
Okay, we got about the same. I wear 10s. If I want like running shoes, like if I get like running shoes, like Pumas and shit like that, I'll get like I'll squeeze my foot in there. But I wear 10s. And boots are 10s.
And then you look at the size difference and or the height difference between the two of us and realize we have the same size feet.
Yeah, but I got petite feet. I always joke around that I got little dainty wrists. My feet are slim.
Yeah. Your ankles are kind of dainty, The ankles, the wrist of the leg.
Or chicken legs.
I know I wasn't trying to be mean, but you do have chicken legs.
I do. It runs in my family.
You're built like a railing.
Yeah, they run. I get it from my grandfather. He cursed us with chicken legs.
Meanwhile, I have the exact opposite.
You and your running calves.
Yep. I got runner's legs, but I don't run. Ever.
You walked a lot. So they did you some good.
This
For a while, that was all you did was walk. So.
Yeah, somehow I wasn't in any better shape than I am now.
That's true. You were heavier.
Yeah.
You look a lot better now than you did. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
even a couple years
it's amazing.
ago.
People tell me you keep telling me you look like you're losing weight. I'm not changing anything. I
don't know how.
Maybe I'm sick. I don't know. Oh, damn it,
Sick
Tim.
enough to eliminate your toes.
Gross.
Aw. Yeah, let's get into the episode. So this is a good episode. I really liked it.
It was a great episode.
And it was called Hello Darkness. And yes, it's exactly what you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Simon and Garfunkel's Sound of Silence Hello Darkness song. But we left off what, Aram? What happened in the last episode? The very, very, very end.
The blackout.
There's a blackout.
Yep.
There's a citywide blackout. So this is perfect for Hello Darkness, because this whole city's in a blackout. It was kind of a fun time too.
Yeah.
So the synopsis of this episode is the trio tries to save a loved one from the killer during a blackout, while the other Arconia residents explore unexpected connections. Now, would we really say that it's a loved one? Because really only one of them loves them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You get the impression the way you see her in the episode, the other episode that she's in, not like her main episode, but the next time she shows up, that they've kind of adopted her into the group.
Yeah.
So loved one is a broad term, I guess.
They definitely accepted her, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
She's accepted and cared about.
Yeah. Because that's the one thing that we talked about this. Each episode, we really don't know how long a time it is.
Right.
Unless they particularly start off exactly where they left off, which they usually don't really do. It's either a little bit ahead, a little bit after. It's whatever. But
right.
I kind of like that though too. I
Yeah, I
don't know
mean,
why. There's something, I don't know, fun about not knowing exactly where we are.
no, I agree. Like, so like you only get like the real grasp of time when they talk about, well, when you get the fan club members talking about,
Mhm.
well, it's been 5 episodes, like right in the beginning of this one, it's been 5 episodes of vamping.
Yeah. 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 Uh yeah, they definitely kind of hint here and there, but I don't know. I just like
Yeah,
it
you
because it's
get
not the
vague
focus.
references of time, and that's about it.
Yeah, because it's not a focus, and I kind of like that. It also shows you that they keep living their life too, so it's
Oh
kind of
yeah,
nice. Um, so in this episode, there was a couple fun little twists
yeah.
that occurred, and right away we get who narrating
Marv.
Marv. Now, who is Marv?
Marv is the older gentleman in the fan club that we actually, well, Tim was saying, and I was leaning towards it as well, that Marv was the killer, or was a glitter guy. And we were proven wrong on both those, both respects
We
on this
were,
episode.
but boy,
Uh,
did they make you think it was him.
yeah. Oh, for sure.
As soon as they made him narrate, I heard the voice. I'm like, who's this guy? And I was like, oh, oh.
Yeah.
And then they just that at that point, it was just a ride to go. Yeah, they're fucking. It's like they read my mind.
Yeah. Well, I did love his narration because listening to him talk about the Sixth Avenue Strangler,
Yeah,
was that what it was called? Sixth Avenue Strangler?
yeah. Sixth Avenue Strangler. Yep.
Yeah. And listening to him talk about like, oh, his choice of prey was older women and some younger women and men of all ages. And he terrorized Sixth Avenue and Fifth Avenue and Fourth. And pretty much the whole city was his, except for Third Avenue. They seemed to be fine.
Yeah, yeah.
His narration was
Very convoluted.
it was just very like I don't know. I loved it. I thought it
Yeah.
was great.
It showed a sense of, I don't know, not up there. He's not all there.
It was whimsy.
It was
It
very,
was
yeah,
whimsical
there's a
the
good
way
way.
he
Yeah.
narrated. It was just whimsical.
Yep.
But he's
And then-
talking about a murderer.
And later on when they discover that it's not him, that he's not the
Mm-hmm.
murderer, but he's dressed up in this, biohazard suit.
He's a
and
mold
the
inspector.
yeah, he's a mold inspector. So like that's his job. That's what he does. And
That's why he knows the passage. Like, well, if you've watched the episode, that's why he knows the passageways.
because he did some
Because
work
he's the
in the
mold inspector. He's like,
building.
I've done some
Yeah.
work in the building.
Yep. And I like that I think not Oliver, it was Charles that says
You're
Marv,
not well.
you're not well. Yeah, I've been told that.
Yeah.
So he's
Well,
aware.
just because of the diatribe he runs into, like he's like, I just wanted to help, and for my daughter to like look at me with something bordering on friendliness or maybe in forgiveness,
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah.
like, and maybe even get my face on a pin.
Yeah. He just, I don't know.
He just
It
wanted
was
to be part of
interesting.
the show, and like he just, yeah,
Wants his life to mean something more than just being
Yeah.
a mold inspector.
it was very sweet, like the way, especially the way Oliver kind of goes, like, we'll bring you on tomorrow and interview you.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I felt like this guy's not doing any harm.
No.
It's sad. You kind of feel bad for him.
Exactly.
I mean,
Like,
we don't need to really know his backstory or anything, but it's just this kind of sad.
he's that
Stop.
classic side character that gets shot down. In the beginning of this episode, he's very much that side character. Like he's trying to interject, like he's going to be able to help, and they just shoot
Yeah.
him down. And that's
Yeah. Not now,
again, that's
Marv.
another trope thing.
We're in a
Like
sense of
you
urgency.
see a lot, but
Yeah.
we're not stuck. We're actually on fire.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. A part of me was giddy and glee towards the fact that the prior episode I had mentioned, I think it's Marv. And then here
Yeah.
it is, this next
Yeah.
episode, and it was Marv that they're leading on to make you believe is a suspect. And then they just kept, but as soon as they did that though, like
Mhm.
I just knew it because of the narration. Why else would he
Yeah.
need to fucking narrate? So I
But
knew
do
it was
you-
already shot down like
So-
instantly.
I don't think, obviously he's not this killer that they're trying to find.
No,
But
no.
how funny do you think it would be if it is revealed in the next two episodes that he is
He's
actually the Sixth Avenue Strangler?
I thought that too. I thought the exact same thing when he was running around the tunnels or whatever. I was like, he probably is the
I think it
strangler,
would
and
be
that's
a
why he's trying to
hilarious
make himself
twist.
noticed. Is
Yeah.
because he is. It's like he wants to be caught. They say every serial killer out there wants to be caught. So
Oh yeah, like the idea that they insert themselves into the investigation.
yep. So they become famous. Um, what what was the most shocking thing about this episode for you?
Oh, the ending, really. Like Mabel's discovery at the end was probably the most shocking thing.
Okay, well if that's it, let's hold
Yeah.
off then. Let's hold
That's
off on
the
that
part
just
that
a little bit.
shocked me. One of my favorite little twists, and again, I liked the idea that all the people in the Arconia were having these different interactions, and I liked that you got a little bit of Howard, you got a little bit of
The doorman.
the doorman, and what's her face up at
I don't
Nina.
remember. Nina.
Nina, yeah.
Yep.
So you get those interactions. I really enjoyed that for whatever reason, despite the yodeling. I really enjoyed Howard's like bit, like him hitting on the new guy in the apartment building, and like I
So
enjoyed that actually.
that was mine.
Yeah,
I was so shocked on how much I thought that was adorable and how much
yeah,
I
it was
was like,
wonderful.
I had a smile and I was like
It was,
giddy
yeah,
about it.
I
I was
agree.
so
It was
happy for him.
cute, and it was
Yeah.
like, oh wow,
I
I was
I
genuinely touched. I think.
yes. Yeah, that's what it was. I was thoroughly touched and emotionally invested in
Mhm.
what was going on in their scene. I was
I
like
will
rooting.
say,
I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, get it.
as
You got
as
it, boy."
much as I enjoyed Howard and whatever the new guy's name is, I don't know.
Yep.
As much as I enjoyed it, I don't think it had as much emotional weight as Nina and the doorman, whose name I've forgotten now. Um,
Is it
the
Leo?
doorman's Leo, that might be it.
Maybe? I
So
don't know.
that it had a lot more emotional weight and was thoroughly enjoyable as well. But I was really charmed by Howard and his like new love interest.
So it's interesting you say that. The weight of the doorman and Nina's conversation and that connection that they have and stuff like that, that weighed heavier emotionally, but there was such a lack of connection and chemistry. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Like, so
No,
it
yeah,
was
I agree.
weird because it was just a situation that you had that made that so heavy. But a perfect word is charmed. I was immensely charmed with Howard and the new guy, but
Yeah.
they had the chemistry that just made you,
Right.
so it was
Yeah,
less
for sure.
emotional, but it was the chemistry that was on
Yeah.
fire. Like
This is
it was
another moment
charmed.
of just whimsy, I think,
Yeah,
is really what it was.
it
Like,
was great.
yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about that little connection because honestly, I thought that was the greatest thing about this episode was Howard. His
Yeah.
his little blip.
What
I loved it so much. I was
you
so happy
you
for him.
you get, everybody's down in the lobby, the waiting room, the lobby of the
Yeah,
Arconia.
it's be a waiting room now.
Right.
They're waiting for
Um,
that fucking power to come back on.
and everybody's distraught, like,
What are they
like
bitching about? What is everybody bitching about?
who just they well, everybody wants to know how long it's gonna take. The one guy that's talking to the security lady is like, he's like, how am I gonna get these groceries up there without the elevator?
Yeah.
She's like, there's stairs, walk up. He's like, I live on the 8th floor.
Yeah, that's what people are bitching about because it's not the
Yeah.
first person to be bitching about. It's the elevator. Everybody's
Yeah.
bitching
Well,
about
yeah, the
even
lady
Oliver.
behind him talks about
Yep.
oh, when I lived at such and such a place, they had backup generators.
Mhm. It just comes down to the elevator. Everybody's bitching about the elevator.
Well, yeah,
Even
because I mean,
Oliver.
those stairs are no joke. I mean, I've walked up. I walked when I was a kid. I went to like on a historical like trail thing, and like there was like a tower. We walked up the stairs to. It was like 200 some stairs, and by the time I got to the top, I wanted to die. And I was
Yeah.
8, so like I was in like reasonable shape.
I don't know. I don't have a
I
problem with
wasn't 8.
stairs.
I was probably a little older.
Yeah.
But I
I
mean,
mean,
yeah,
nobody would want to walk 14 flights of stairs, but
no,
especially with a bunch of groceries and shit. But That's not the point. It was everybody was bitching
Yeah,
about the
everybody's
stairs.
more worried about getting upstairs, but they didn't want to go up the actual stairs.
Yeah.
Um,
But
yeah,
continue. Yeah. So you have Howard talking to, is it
it's
the
the therapist, the
therapist?
therapist
Yeah.
that lives in the building, because he at the end of the conversation he says, "Thanks, Doc."
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. You're
but
talking about
basically,
the,
they're talking about the new gentleman that just moved in down the hallway from Howard. I get the impression that the doctor lives on the same floor, but I could be wrong
must
on
be.
that one.
And we didn't get this guy's name.
I don't feel like I did. No,
You know, I don't think we got it. I don't think they said his name.
I think my subtitles might have said it, but I wasn't reading.
Yeah, maybe.
Um,
Maybe.
but oh, excuse me.
Don't start that now.
Sorry. Uh, so basically, Howard's having the basic, do you go talk to him? Do you not? Like, I have a crush on someone that's way out of my league, sort of like conversation.
Jonathan.
That's his name? Okay.
That's his name. Whether or not we knew it, I looked it up.
I don't know. I probably thought it was Mark. Anyway, so he's having the conversation, and the doctor's trying to urge him, like, you could have a better life if you do these. And Howard even says, like, well, I mean, I like my life. He's like, well,
Yeah.
what do you have? What do you have?
But the thing is he says it like he's trying to convince himself almost.
Yeah, he's like, I have my yodel shop. I have Sevelin, which is the name of his cat. I can't remember why that's
not
what
the
her
dead
name
one,
is.
right?
Not the dead one in the freezer. And he works at the library, and he says something else, but he's like, and the doctor's like, there could be, or he says Sevelin last, and so the doctor's like, there's more to life than cats. He's like, I won't tell her you said that.
Yeah. At this point, it just shows you how sad he is without even having to show you how sad he is.
Oh,
Just his interest alone.
And then, so, I mean, you get that, and that's when he doesn't go talk to him at that point. So that's when Charles and Oliver and Mabel appear. And this is to you, they go in two different directions. And Charles and Mabel are like, where are you going? He's like, I'm going to the elevators. He's like, no electricity, no, the security lady with the gut milk.
Yeah.
Like, no electricity, no elevators.
Yeah.
And Oliver throughout this is being, anytime he's put out in this this episode, he's just
yeah,
he just makes like a little grunt noise. And it's very funny to me for some reason.
And he's so over dramatic.
Oh,
this was a perfect show of Oliver being a diva.
Yeah,
just
for sure.
Over dramatic and just whiny and bitching. That's a perfect word. He was so bitchy.
Yeah.
But when they get up, so Howard and Jonathan, they go back up to their apartments or whatever.
Yeah.
But the doctor that he was talking to had said, "Hey, why don't you just go ask him for some, batteries or whatever?"
Yeah. Says ask for some batteries to light your lantern. He's like, that's vulgar.
Right. And so he goes up to his room because he chickens out on that. So he goes up to his apartment and he sits there and he's like pacing about it, thinking he's like,
well, he at first you see him trying to feed his cat.
Oh, but
he's also explaining to the cat, the electricity is out, so I couldn't warm it up like you like it.
Yeah, that's right.
And the cat just keeps turning his face up at it.
Yep. And then he goes, decides to do it. And he goes to the door. What is he doing when he walks to the door?
Oh, he's practicing the line.
Yep.
He's like, oh, hey, do you have any batteries? Hey, do you have any batteries? Like,
and what happens when he opens the door?
There's Jonathan looking for batteries of his own for his lantern.
Yep. And he gets scared.
It was a nice little meet cute.
It was great. It was I don't know.
It was a classic sort of like meet cute situation.
Yes. It was totally a trope. It was totally a cliche moment, but it was great. It worked so well, especially because he's just like, oh, I didn't know you were there. Why would you? And what did Jonathan do?
Well, he basically said, oh, I was coming to borrow some batteries. Well, Howard explains that he was going to come down to his apartment to borrow batteries. And that's when Jonathan explains that he was coming down to borrow batteries from him. He's like, well, see you later. And then Howard's like, wait, stop. I have plenty of batteries. He's like, why would you be coming to my apartment to ask for batteries then? He's like, I mean, I have plenty of candles. Can I issue an votive or a dripless taper?
Yeah.
And then Jonathan goes, ooh, and like walks in.
I don't know why, but it was that little, and then, walking in after saying that. And then they're just sitting there on the fucking couch drinking wine or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was wine.
Yeah.
But it was great because it wasn't something you expected. And it kind of gave you like, oh, Howard's just going for it,
Yeah.
But I didn't expect that. I just did not expect him to be at the other door and then him just to come in.
I did not expect any of it to line up the way it did. Like, Jonathan talking about being a chorus boy and like,
oh my God, in the Lion that was King, great.
And like, oh, I'm lucky, but like,
for a living.
Yeah. I'm lucky, like, but sometimes like I'd like a different job. Like, what would you? I'd be a librarian. I'm a librarian.
A children's librarian.
That's right, a children's librarian.
And he just touches his hand.
He like lays his hand on top of his hand, and it's like, I'm a librarian.
it was beautiful.
Yep.
You could just see the fucking the
fireworks.
Eyes. Yeah, the
Cupids flying around, shooting arrows at him and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Cupid's in the corner, sitting at the window, just shooting arrows at these two. And then what? He goes up to the window. He like looks outside or whatever. But that's when Jonathan asks them to do a couple bars of his yodel. He's like, I don't do it by myself.
They're talking about what yodel shop is. Because Jonathan's like, are you the one I hear singing down the hall? Sometimes and he's like, oh, that's probably me practicing for Yodel Shop.
Yeah.
Which is barbershop quartet with yodeling.
Yep. Something appealing about that.
Oddly enough, yes.
I would listen to I'd like to hear that is really what it is. I would
an actual performance. Yeah. I'd give you that.
I'd give it a listen.
But yeah, so that's when Jonathan's like, oh, well, you have a beautiful voice. He's like, oh, no, I don't. This is like an amateur, like this is a don't quit your day job sort of thing.
Oh, I should
and that's
know.
When, that's when it was like, that's when, that's what question gets me every time because my day job is singing. And that's when he reveals that he's in the chorus.
Choir. Yeah, chorus boy. Yep. On Broadway? Yeah.
On Broadway.
But what was the moment that created that pause before they lingered in?
Oh yeah, so
before they started to whistle without the blow.
Well, Jonathan sneezes and he's like, "Do you have pets?" He's like, "Well, I have a cat."
That was after, because that's what breaks it up.
Yeah,
but what was it like? What was it that they got him? Because the whole talking stuff is the buildup, and then they said their final thing that made them start to linger in.
I thought they were just singing together. I thought Jonathan was doing. You said saying. Like I was like, oh, saying what?
That's what I was waiting for.
No, they started to do a
duet because
Sounds
Howard
of Silence
doesn't sing alone
with yodeling at the end.
Yep. Yeah, Howard's yodeling and Jonathan singing. And what song do they sing?
Sounds of Silence.
By who?
Simon and Garfunkel.
Simon and...
Well, their act is called Simon and Garf Yodel. Garfiodel because you get...
Because he's yodeling. I just thought that was great. I don't know why. I just think that was clever just to throw that in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, they started singing The Sound of Silence. And how does that go? What's that? What's their title of this episode?
Hello, Darkness.
There you go. That's what seals the deal. And after this, a bride or a chorus of building people.
It's a montage of different people in the building starting to sing because Howard and Jonathan are singing in such a way that they're hitting the vents, and everyone in the building
And
can hear them.
courtyard.
Apparently,
The
yeah.
window's open, so they show that it vibrates. Goes out in the courtyard, and it just resonates everywhere because apparently you can hear everything in that courtyard.
Crock of shit, fucking theory.
But yeah, the point is you can hear it throughout the entire building, and everybody starts singing.
So you have the security lady whose name I still forget. The one who's always peddling gut milk.
Yep, and she did it here too.
You have her.
First one's free. After that, cash only.
Yep. It's like it's nutritious, it's filling, and slightly alcoholic.
Yep.
So she starts to sing along.
After that, it's just a myriad of people because it kind of just like a effect. Because she starts singing really good, but then everybody else in the back starts singing, and then you get Oliver who starts singing, and
who they have to yell at because they're in the catacombs chasing the killer.
Which
Shh, there's a killer on those. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just this is one of indie folk rock's greatest breakdowns.
Which is the second time they yelled at him in this tunnel. Like it's gonna make much of a difference.
So we should get into that for a second, I guess, to explain why
we can do
tunnel.
it. We've explained everything basically. Basically, to wrap it up after that song, they were Jonathan and Howard were about to come in for a kiss, and then Jonathan sneezes. Now this is very poignant. With that sneezes, he sneezes like 2 or 3 times, and we've heard that sneeze before.
Oh God, I didn't make that connection. Shit.
No, we've heard that sneeze before. He sneezes because he was deathly allergic to cats or pets or whatever. But we've heard that sneeze before when we discovered Lucy hiding in the tunnels in like episode 2 or something like that.
Oh, horseshit. No, I didn't even remember that. That actually ties into why Oliver asked what kind of sneeze it was later in the episode.
Well, he didn't have any clue.
But I mean, as a viewer,
we go. Oh, yeah, it was like a connection. Oh, you remember this? This is why he's asking it. Why? What does it matter? I don't fucking know.
Right. So you have basically Jonathan sneezes a couple times and then goes, I have to go, and leaves.
Yep.
To which Howard then proceeds to later on in the episode, you see him walking down the hall, like lint rolling himself. And he knocks on the door to Jonathan's apartment and says, if I were to like send my cat to stay with somebody, I can't remember the name, but somebody so-and-so from the library, lint rolled my sweaters twice and like vacuumed my whole apartment, would you consider going out on a date with me? And Jonathan says, of course. Or he says, would you go out on a date with me in the light?
Yeah, in the light.
And Jonathan says, of course. And it's like, don't get rid of your cat. He's like, how about we go on one now? So it was seemingly a happily ever after for Howard. We'll see where it goes.
We'll see. But it was great. Honestly, the reason why I really wanted to talk about that was just because that was my favorite part about this episode.
It's probably the most memorable part of the episode, to be completely honest.
I was so happy for Howard. I was so heartbroken too when the guy Jonathan just stands up and stares at him. Thanks. And just walks out.
Okay, bye.
I was just like, oh, my heart broke. It broke a little bit. But I was glad to see he didn't give up.
Right.
There was something very, I don't know, admirable about that he just
everybody loves an underdog.
Back up. It's true. Except for Underdog. I can't stand him. Let's get on to our main characters.
Yeah.
And that is Charles, Oliver, and Mabel. And I guess you can throw Lucy in there.
She's
a little bit
kind of a linchpin at this point.
Yeah, especially because why they're in the tunnels. Because they go to the tunnels. They
so they know Lucy's in Charles's apartment.
Yes.
Alone. And they need to.
And we figured that out just before the blackout. But that was all we got. Yep.
Yeah. So they know she's there alone. You get shots of Lucy, somebody trying to like get through the door.
Wiggle the door.
The rattling of the doorknob and then like hitting the door, and she quickly runs into the catacombs. But classic mistake, doesn't close the passageway behind her. So obviously the killer knows to like follow her. You know it's the killer because he has like a knife in his hand.
Yep. Well,
That
he
should be
broke the fucking door though. Like he had a crowbar and broke it in and threw it on the ground.
He came prepared.
Yeah. So he was in there for a tent.
Yep. So he chases her into the catacombs. Charles, Mabel, and Oliver are in at that exact point. They are climbing the stairs.
Yeah.
But it's two
Oliver's
almost
over
80-year-old
dramatic.
men.
I can't do it. Just give me cyanide pilled and something fuzzy to wash it down with.
Yeah. This is where I die.
Yeah.
The better part, the first thing to remember is that in the diner as they're leaving, they give Oliver a bunch of dips that were going to go bad because the cooler was out.
Yep.
So he's carrying like a satchel of dips.
A big to-go bag of dips. There's probably like 12 dips in there too.
Oh, yeah.
Like 12, what? Like 8 ounce?
8 or 12 ounce cups, yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot
somewhere
of dip.
Between 8 and 12. That's not light. That's a couple gallons dip.
He's going to fucking eat it all too.
Yeah. And he's like almost 80. So, I mean, a couple gallons like on your back trying to climb 14 flights of stairs is not an easy task.
Yeah.
But the first time he has to stop, complaining about his knees.
Yeah. Oh my!
And
knees,
him and Charles
having
the conversations like, oh, I just got these knees. They're Alfa Romeos. They're not ATVs. They're not meant for this kind of off roading. And Charles like, I just got these in 2006. And they're still kicking. And he like swings his leg around.
Yep.
Like, where'd you get them? And they find out they're the same doctor.
Yep.
Same doctor.
Oh, like, great doctor. Not a fan of his receptionist, though. Oh, don't get me started.
Yeah, don't get me started on Cheryl.
What's great is because we've said this about them consistently throughout the seasons, well, throughout the show, is that these are two old guys, but you find a bond because they're best friends in real life.
Right.
So
yeah. Oh, for sure.
It's just that quirky old man connection.
Yeah. Over who redid your kneecap so you can walk around still.
And they did that about the it wasn't the Watergate, it was the Iranian
the Iranian Contra thing, I think.
Yeah, they connected over that the same way. And they've done it before with something else. Like it's just like this old, and that's where Mabel's like, I get it, you're old. Fuck. Let's move on.
And so they convince Oliver to leave the dips, and he does this weird, dramatic, like, live, survive.
Stay alive. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you hear Mabel go, Putnam. He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, it was great. I just love it. His love for dip and his over dramaticness is fucking brilliant. It's Martin Short at his best.
Yeah, it's Martin Short does. Being a diva, which Martin Short is over the top about just about everything.
He is.
It's why they balance each other out, because Steve Martin is so understated, and then Martin Short is over the top, and so like they just give this balance to like a reasonably like human being.
Yeah. Yep. I like that. That's great.
So they finally make it to Charles's apartment, find the door broken open. They follow into the passageways.
Yep.
And they're trying to they quickly get lost.
Yeah. I was just saying they just go right in there without thinking. They just, we need to go. We've been in here before. We can find our way.
There's one point where they just like are walking, and all of a sudden Charles is like,
okay,
it's a wall. It's staring at a wall.
I had a problem with that. Because they have flashlights or they have lights. They're using lights. And he didn't see a fucking wall in front of him.
Yeah, I didn't get that either.
He literally ran right into the wall.
Yeah.
I was like, no,
understand
that was
it
too
myself.
much. He's just like, oh, there's a wall. There's a wall. I'm staring at a wall. Like, I don't know.
I did like Oliver in the background going, didn't we come in this way?
Yeah. But that's obviously where we realize that they're lost, that they don't know where they are. And who finds them?
Lucy.
She doesn't. She's not fucking lost.
No.
But she is a kid. She's been there.
Right. And she's explored the tunnels extensively.
But the killer went after her. She went into the tunnel to escape the killer. But the killer was right on her tail.
The killer is like seconds behind her. So she happens to hide, and then she sees a flashlight. We don't know whose flashlight it is at this point. But the killer sees a flashlight, and takes off,
Yep.
saving Lucy. Lucy then later finds the gang, and someone else is behind them with a flashlight. They think it's the killer again, so they rush out. They run away, and they're going down the stairs, and whoever's following them, Mabel happens to they come down just the right way to grab all the dips.
Yeah.
And Mabel hides behind the railing and like swings the dips at the guy and like knocks him off the stairs. To
First
which
thing Oliver says,
"Is there anything dips can't do?" And this is where we learn that it's Marv.
Yeah. I actually when Mabel picks up the bag of dips, I was like, "Oh, that's really nice of you."
I did too. I was like, "Why is she? She's
so
remembering the fucking dips for some reason. Like, why the fuck?"
Nice. And then she used it for a weapon. I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's a little bit of a bitch move, but okay." It worked.
I for some reason didn't see her swinging the whole bag. In my mind, I was like, "You just take one of those out and throw it on the ground, like just dump it on the ground. You'll fucking slip on that shit."
Yeah,
like they're coming down those stairs way too quick to correct.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus,
yeah,
I feel like a bag full of dips being swung at you by, I don't know, Selena Gomez. I don't know. I don't feel like it would be as alerting, but we are talking about an old guy who
he's older. I mean, if you're coming down
panicked.
the stairs, if you're like rushing down the stairs trying to catch somebody, and someone just comes out of the blue and hits you in the chest with something, like it'll throw your balance off, I'm sure.
I have to disagree to that point. If I was going down those stairs chasing them and she hit me with dip,
we'll try it at your place.
You buy the dip, I'll clean up the mess.
I mean, I'll just get the portion cups and fill them with something. I mean, it'll be the same thing.
Yeah, that's fair. But my point is, I would probably just push right through it. But he literally just went out.
Yeah.
Like he just.
Well, and something to be said for the element of surprise.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, we saw it coming. But
right,
he sure the fuck did.
But yeah,
but he's also wearing a goddamn gas, or not a.
Oh, he's a
ventilation mask.
Yeah, he's wearing a ventilator and his whole gear, like he's in there inspecting. Yeah, and it's Marv, who's a mold inspector who's done work in the place, so that's why he knows the passageways. He's decked out, makes no comment, doesn't yell to them, "Hey, it's me, Marv."
No.
And he's pretty close behind them. Even in the stairwell, you could have just been like, "It's Marv, stop running."
I thought the exact same thing. And the only thing that I could justify him not doing that, other than the story, whatever.
Yeah.
Is that he wanted to have a story for them to tell. Because he said that. He's like, I just want to give you a story to tell or whatever. I want to be a part of the podcast. And
right.
This and that. And I think that's the only thing I can justify in his case of why he wouldn't do that, is it would give them a story.
It's possible, I guess.
That's about it. That's all I could come up with, because I felt the same way. I'm like, why wouldn't you just say, "Hey, it's me, Marv. Don't run from me."
But
I did. I kind of liked his answer about why. Because why was he in the tunnels?
He wanted to help. Like he wanted to make sure Lucy was safe.
Yeah, I like that, and then it's unsettling at the same time. Because what place does he have to interfere with their business? But
you also get the idea from the beginning of the episode that he's the almost
die-hard fan.
Yeah, he's the borderline obsessed fan.
Yeah,
where he's like, because he refers to the other ones because they talk about another podcast. He's like, he gets upset with them. He calls them fair weather fans.
Fair weather fans. That's what it is. Yeah. You guys may be in and out, but I am a die-hard fan. I am for
TV for life.
Yep. It's a little. He has issues.
Oh yeah.
Just as we said, Charles points out.
Marv, you're not well.
Yeah.
No, I've been told that.
I've been told that. But what the fuck did we find out in the lobby right after this?
Shit.
Now, this was the big reveal for the entire fucking show.
Yeah.
This was the grand finale almost. This is just, oh my God, the most shocking thing.
So,
And
What?
before
Okay.
I can't remember, but I swear to God, either you or Jason had said that it may have been this guy. I
Might
swear
have
to
been
God, one
me.
of you guys
As
said,
much as
"Oh,
I
you know,
love
it'd be
Michael
funny."
Rappaport,
Yeah, I
I
swear to
probably would
God,
because I preface most of my statements with like, "Wouldn't it be funny if?"
and that's what I think is like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if it? So it must have been you if it
It
was
probably
him.
was
But
me.
all right, continue.
So
Who was it?
lights
Who
come
did we
back
see?
on. So everyone rushes back down to the lobby. They they talk for a second, then they have to go. Oh well, we have to find. They lose Lucy for a moment. They go find her, and then all of a sudden, she's talking to Detective Krebs, Michael Rappaport.
Yep.
Michael Rappaport is like, "Oh, I was just in the neighborhood, checking on things," and he's being creepy, and he's being
Yeah.
very sedate versus the way he was in earlier episodes.
He's not being detective. He's being personally creepy.
Yeah,
Like,
and so Charles and Oliver kind of go, "Lucy, let's go now." And Mabel stays behind, and he's kind of like hinting at stuff. He's like, I saw like he said something like, "Are you interested in me? I'm interested in you, Mabel." And he's like, he says something like, "I saw your viral video. Like, what's to stop me from locking you up right now tonight?" She's like, "I was asking myself the same thing, but then why are you here?"
yep.
And that's when
Just
Howard and
happened to be in the
Jonathan,
neighborhood.
yeah, just happened to be in the neighborhood. He's like, and he says some other creepy stuff about she says something about
Like visiting something or whatever.
questioning teenage preteen girls. Is like that's one of my favorite parts of the job.
Yeah. Yep.
But at this point, Howard and Jonathan are walking down to go on their date, and they're talking, and Howard bumps into Detective Krebs into his left shoulder.
Yep.
Which becomes pertinent much more in a second. But he kind of grabs his shoulder like it hurt. And they say sorry, and he calls him a kook. He tries to play it off. He says, he's like, I got a new tattoo. And then Krebs turns his head again, and Mabel, who's already kind of leery of him, happens to look at the back of his neck, and there's a bunch of red glitter there.
Yeah.
So not only was it glitter guy, but the hurt shoulder is from being stabbed. So now we understand Detective Krebs is involved somehow. I'm not coining him as the murderer, but they're setting him up. But I'm not going to coin him as the murderer yet. But he's involved in some way.
Yes. Oh, so I think he is the glitter bomb guy because they like that. That's blatant. That's exactly what I think it is that he's just the glitter. I don't think he's the murderer, but I think he's So
I think he was the one they were texting.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because that officer
Williams, Detective Williams was the
chick,
other lady. Yeah,
she was on maternity leave. So who else would she be talking to? And
exactly.
I don't know why we didn't really piece it together necessarily.
I don't know either.
But it makes sense now.
Yeah.
Totally.
So he's definitely a glitter guy. He's the one that tried to mug Mabel on the
subway.
Train.
Yeah.
Coney Island with the needle. Yep, that whole thing. That's Detective Krebs, and that is the big reveal that we leave this episode on.
My only issue I have with that is he's a tall guy. He's like 6'4",
which
6'5".
I mean, if you look at the glitter bomb guy, he was tall. So that's why I know he's not the killer, because that killer's not 6'5", 6'6".
Well, we didn't really get a full grasp of how tall the glitter bomb guy is. We get a sense of lankiness, but we really didn't have a good comparison, because that's the only time that we see any good comparison was when they're struggling in the subway, and that wasn't a very clear shot.
That's true. I don't know. I guess I felt like he was sitting on the bench. Just by looking at him, yeah.
Yeah, when he's sitting on the bench and he stands up, there's no comparison, And then when he opens up the thing, he gets pushed back. So I don't think we had a really good comparison, but the evidence is there right now.
I think the best I can give is if you look at body type, because
he's lanky. It was a lanky figure.
Rappaport has a lot of torso, and so does this guy.
Yeah,
That's about all I can get.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lankiness between them, but we just, I don't know. Like, it was really hard to just say, it could have been him
Yeah.
until now. Until they clearly go, hey, look over here, guys. Look what we're giving you. Now figure it out.
Right? You thought it was this
Shiny
guy.
keys.
No, maybe it's this guy.
Here's the keys. Yep.
Jingle, jingle, jingle.
Yeah. Oh, but God. Seriously.
What a reveal, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I said the same thing. That's exactly what I said. Like, the kid was playing on his iPad and Kaylee was on her phone, and I just go, holy shit. And Wesley goes, what, Dad? What? And I'm just like, nothing, buddy. Nothing. Like, you nothing? Yeah, fuck, man. Well, now I don't know what to think, honestly. I really don't know what to think. I think that we may be on the right track from the whole evil Justice League concept. I think there are a multitude of people.
They even make a mention of it. They're like, oh, it was because they're talking about like, oh, well, this is the person we saw. We saw the person in the surveillance footage. Lucy saw somebody, and Charles says, well, what if it's more than one person?
Yeah.
So yeah, they even have they have now intimated that maybe it is more than one person.
Yeah, and I think it might be. I honestly really do. I think it might be. Multiple people that are like involved. Maybe not the murderer, but like just in this suspect world that we're supposed to think are. And I think that the Jonathan guy is still one of them because of the sneeze.
Yep, most stuff.
I do think it's interesting though. Is each person I've guessed might be the suspect or something has been introduced in the next episode. I said that
as not the killer.
Yeah. I'm like, well, what the fuck? Right? The show's just telling me, nope, you're wrong. Nope, you're wrong. So like, because I said that about Theo. I'm like, oh, maybe it's Theo. And then what happens? Two episodes later, it's not Theo. Or at least we're not thinking it's Theo. And then I said it was the Marv guy. And then what happened?
Marv's been exonerated.
Yep. So yeah. Oh man, it's a good show. It's so good.
It's a great show. It's a wonderful show.
Yeah. Did you have like a favorite quote that you saw or joke? Because we kind of talk about how there's like always a joke in here that's funny.
Oh. I don't think there was a specific joke that made me laugh more. I think it was really just Oliver's shenanigans in the stairwell.
In the stairways.
Yeah. Especially when he's like, they're like, oh, it's only 2 more flights. He's like, okay, but I'm going to have to be dragged.
Yeah.
And then they pick him up. He's like,
Charles, come on, puppy.
Yeah. The stairwell is probably my favorite bit.
I just like where he says, nope, this is it. This is where I die. Just give me a cyanide pill and something fuzzy to wash it down with.
Something fizzy to wash it down with, yep.
I thought that was great because he specifically said something
I think
fizzy.
that might be that point. He's like, it's only 2 more flights.
It is. Okay. Yeah.
And
it's
like, okay, but I'm going to have to be
dragged. Yeah. I like that he said, give me a cyanide pill and something fizzy to wash it down with. I just thought that was very particular.
Yeah.
It was great.
But it's dramatic. It wouldn't do anything to his corpse.
Oh man. At least he doesn't have anybody robbing him.
It's true. Not yet.
They're trying to do that when he's alive. Yeah. Do you have anything else noteworthy?
I don't think so.
Yeah. I already know we're gonna give this a 5, so I don't even need to do it. This is a straight up.
This is 5.
This is so far. Do you have a favorite episode though?
Oh. I'd have to say I still like the last day of Bunny Folger. Probably one as like overall because of the way it's done and just like it has comedy, but it also carries a lot of like weight to it with all the exposition and like history you get from it.
Yeah.
So I think I really enjoy that episode probably the most of all of them. It's not the most comedic, I think that was the next episode or the episode of that.
It for sure is the most serious.
Yeah, and
I mean, it
I think
had
it
some funny
shows.
points, but it was
Yeah,
a serious, absolutely, like you said, it weighed more heavy. Because yeah, you feel everything
yeah,
about this character and everything that's going. There's something beautiful about that episode, and like that's why I compare it to the same one in season one with Theo. When you get the view from Theo and he's deaf,
yep,
and it was the same feel to me. It was beautifully done. It was well done. You understand the character and the world that they are, and it brings the light a little bit more that we wouldn't, because we're really judging off of them just what they're providing. So the fact that we
yeah,
get to see it in their side really humanizes everything that we weren't seeing before, that we're not given. And I like that. I like when you can see somebody so monstrous and understand that they're human, or you can
yeah,
humanize them. And both
yeah,
of
for
those
sure.
characters had that. So
Yeah, definitely. I think you get a little more of that too from just from the conversation that Nina has with Leo,
yeah,
because she like remembers he has a wife,
at least I
remembers
think
her
it's
name.
Leo.
We're gonna go with Leo for now.
Leo works.
Um,
It sounds right.
remember that he has a wife, that two kids, what they do. Like one's in college, one's doing improv, and apparently, if I remember right, you're not a big fan of it, or you think they're really bad at it. He's like, "Oh no,
No, no,
Bunny got
Bunny
that
got that
wrong."
wrong.
Yeah, and
It
it was a
works.
nice little gesture towards Bunny being
Well,
such an
and
impact still to Nina.
I really liked, yeah, because she had made a comment to get him to bring her mail during this blackout up the
Yep.
stairs.
Yeah.
And he's an
He's
old
like,
guy.
yeah, he's in his 60s or 70s somewhere, and
Yeah, he's
she's
old.
like, yeah. And he's like, you live on 14. And
Yeah.
she's like, we're talking about cutting back on stuff that we don't need. Like, kind of like a guy that like holds the door for people when a door opens automatically.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was a big low blow. It was a big
Yeah.
shot. And we get understanding because she just had her baby and stuff like that. So we
Mhm.
do understand, like she's just stressed, she's tired, she's whatever.
Yeah.
And that's why when he asked to sit down in the apartment, they go through the whole thing. It was great. It just showed something. But honestly, the part about that episode that really, really made it severe and
Mhm.
heavy was when they goes like, about the killer. It's like, oh, do you know if they'll ever
Oh
find
yeah.
his killer? And it's like, no, whatever, this and that. I just hope it's not another psychopath that wants to kill building attendants. And then he goes,
Mhm.
yeah, I think about I had to have let him in, and that's hard. That's
Yeah.
just that's hard not to think of, because yeah, it's like the Spider-Man thing, like the first Spider-Man, and Tobey Maguire lets that
Yeah.
bad guy go, and then he steals his Uncle Ben's car and shoots him.
Yep.
It's the same thing. Technically, Spider-Man let him go when he could have stopped him, and it wouldn't have happened,
Yeah.
kind of thing. But it's kind of the same guilt that you're gonna feel. Gotta feel bad for that guy.
Oh, most
And
definitely. And he seems like such a sweet guy too.
he does. Yeah, he really, really does. Everybody kind of pushes him around just because
I
he's a
watch He's the
fucking
Killer.
doorman. I wouldn't blame him then.
Right?
Fuck all these guys. Bunch of rich, pompous assholes. They all deserve it. Just light a match. Just like we'll do to Netflix. Yeah, I think that's it, man.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think we're good.
That's been episode 8, season 2 of Only Murders in the Building, Hulu original.
Yeah.
And once again, we say this every fucking time. You need to go watch it. It's one of the greatest shows of all time. It's like the #1 show worldwide or whatever. Like, it's just fucking great. It's well done. It's quirky. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's suspenseful. It's thrilling. Like, it's everything you want in a show. Plus, it's got some of the greatest guys of all time. 2 comedy legends and a singer who does very well. She holds her own.
Yeah. And she's not getting left behind, that's for sure.
And I will 100% admit, if I see Selena Gomez in something else from now on, I might actually stop and check it out. Just a brief.
For sure.
Just to see how it is, because I've grown attached to her.
Yeah.
I think she's
It's
just
legit.
I really like her. I really like Mabel. Like, if you took her out of the equation, show would not be the same. If you
No.
were to try to replace her or something, I just don't think it'll work.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
But hell yeah. Well, that is all we got for you.
Yeah.
Please go check it out. And yeah, we will catch you later.
Peace.
Have a good night. Or morning.
Whatever
Or
you're listening.
afternoon. Or whatever the fuck you want.
Hurt feelings make me laugh.